In the summer of 2025, Southeast Asia was on edge. A decades-old dispute between Cambodia and Thailand erupted again along their shared border, specifically near the historically sensitive Phra Vihear Temple region. Artillery exchanges, military buildup, and civilian evacuations painted a grim picture of what seemed to be a rapidly escalating conflict. Then, in a surprising twist, headlines around the world declared that a ceasefire had been reached, and behind it was none other than former US President Donald J. Trump. This unexpected diplomatic turn sparked global curiosity. Why would Trump involve himself in a regional conflict halfway across the globe? Let's explore 10 compelling reasons behind his decision to help broker peace. First and foremost, Trump had his eyes set on protecting US strategic interests. In Southeast Asia, the region isn't just a cluster of emerging economies, it's a vital part of the geopolitical chessboard. The South China Sea, which borders the area, hosts one of the world's busiest maritime trade routes. Instability in Thailand or Cambodia could disrupt global shipping lanes and shift regional power balances. Trump, known for his transactional view of diplomacy, recognized that peace in the region was in America's economic and military interest. Secondly, this move was a calculated effort to solidify his foreign policy legacy. Having faced intense scrutiny during his earlier years in office, particularly on issues like NATO relations and withdrawal from international agreements, Trump saw this as a chance for redemption. By taking on the role of a global peacemaker, he aimed to reshape his image from isolationist to negotiator, showcasing that he could bring rival nations to the table without prolonged warfare. Third, Trump understood the economic implications. Both Cambodia and Thailand are members of ASEAN bloc. The US has significant financial ties with American companies, heavily rely on manufacturing and outsourcing hubs in these countries. With factories at risk, borders closing, and instability mounting, Trump's team moved quickly to protect US investors and multinational supply chains. A ceasefire meant securing billions in economic activity. The fourth reason is rooted in classic power politics. Washington was concerned that if the conflict escalated, it might draw in outside force, especially China or Russia. Cambodia, historically leaning toward China, might have accepted military or financial backing. Thailand, a long-standing US ally, could have turned to Washington for support. This scenario had all the makings of a new proxy conflict. Trump saw that early intervention could prevent global superpowers from clashing in another regional war. Fifth, Trump leaned on economic leverage to get both parties to the table. Known for using tariffs, trade threats, and economic incentives, he applied the same playbook here. Reports suggested that US aid to Cambodia and preferential trade deals with Thailand were quietly placed on the negotiating table. In simple terms, make peace or lose benefits. Trump later claimed this was negotiation by strength, not weakness. The sixth reason ties directly to Trump's signature personality, his deal-making identity. Framing the ceasefire as one of the most beautiful peace deals ever made, Trump took credit in his speeches and interviews. He leveraged the situation to reinforce his brand, an outsider who makes deals that no one else can, even on international borders that have seen bloodshed for decades. Seventh, Trump responded to pressure from ASEAN leaders who feared the conflict could spiral out of control. Behind closed doors, regional leaders reportedly reached out to Washington for mediation support. Trump saw this as an opportunity not just to lead, but to outshine China's influence in the region. By positioning himself as the go-to mediator, he reclaimed diplomatic ground for the US in an area where China's influence had been growing steadily. The eighth reason was humanitarian. As clashes intensified, thousands of civilians were displaced. Along the border, villages were abandoned, families fled into forests, and refugee camps swelled near border towns. Trump, often criticized for his hardline immigration stance, saw the potential PR nightmare of another humanitarian crisis. A ceasefire meant fewer refugees, less international condemnation, and a more stable region. Ninth, Trump saw the ceasefire as a way to deepen military ties with both nations. Thailand is a US treaty ally with ongoing joint exercises. Cambodia, though more distant, became a target for soft re-engagement. Post-ceasefire, Trump's administration proposed expanded defense cooperation, including counter-terrorism training and border monitoring support. These military partnerships were not just about peace, they were strategic footholds. And finally, Trump knew this moment could benefit him politically back home. With election buzz already building, he used the ceasefire to energize his base and win over undecided voters. In rallies and televised interviews, he repeatedly stated that while others talked about peace, he got it done. The timing couldn't have been better. Domestic news cycles covered the ceasefire extensively, casting him as a bold, effective leader. In the end, Trump's intervention in the Cambodia-Thailand conflict was far more than a random act of diplomacy. It was a calculated move influenced by strategy, economics, image, and political ambition. While some praised his efforts, others questioned the sustainability of the peace. But one thing is clear: the ceasefire altered the trajectory of the conflict and surprised the world with a headline few expected.